Intro music fades in and then out. Hello, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into one of the most debated questions in modern geopolitics. Is Xi Jinping a dictator, or is he a strong leader? It's a question that sparks intense reactions, and the answer often depends on who you ask and where they stand. Is he the architect of a new era of Chinese prosperity and global influence, or the authoritarian figurehead of an increasingly repressive state? To get a clearer picture, we need to look beyond the headlines and examine the evidence from multiple angles. So, let's get into it. First, let's explore the argument for Xi Jinping as a strong leader. When he came to power in 2012, China was facing significant challenges: rampant corruption, slowing economic growth, and growing social inequality. His supporters would point to his sweeping anti-corruption campaign as a decisive move to clean up the government and the party. This campaign has netted hundreds of thousands of officials from low-level flies to high-ranking tigers, and for many ordinary Chinese citizens it was seen as a necessary and bold step to restore public trust and ensure the party's long-term survival. Economically, under his leadership, China has continued its remarkable development. We've seen massive infrastructure projects like the Belt and Road Initiative, which aims to create a modern-day Silk Road, connecting China with countries across Asia, Africa, and Europe. This has not only boosted China's global economic footprint, but has also provided development opportunities for participating nations. Domestically, the government has declared victory in its ambitious goal to eradicate extreme poverty, lifting tens of millions of people into a better standard of living. For those who have directly benefited from these policies, seeing their cities modernized, their incomes rise, and their country command more respect on the world stage, Xi is seen as a visionary leader guiding the nation towards what he calls the Chinese dream of national rejuvenation. He projects an image of strength and stability, a captain steering the ship of state through turbulent international waters. Now, let's turn to the other side of the coin, the argument that Xi Jinping is a dictator. This perspective focuses on the consolidation of power and the erosion of individual freedoms that have occurred under his rule. One of the most significant moves was the 2018 constitutional amendment that removed presidential term limits. This effectively allows him to rule for life, a departure from the system of collective leadership and orderly succession that was established after the era of Mao Zedong to prevent the rise of another personality cult. This concentration of power in one man's hands is a classic hallmark of authoritarian rule. Critics argue this move has stifled internal party debate and made the political system more brittle, as there's no clear plan for succession. Furthermore, his tenure has seen a significant tightening of controls over civil society. Freedom of speech has been severely curtailed. The Great Firewall has become more sophisticated, blocking foreign websites and social media platforms, while domestic online content is heavily censored. Journalists, lawyers, academics, and human rights activists who voice dissent have faced harassment, detention, and imprisonment. This crackdown extends to cultural and social spheres, with increasing pressure for ideological conformity. Universities are urged to adhere strictly to party doctrine, and any narrative that deviates from the official state-approved version of history is suppressed. The state's pervasive surveillance system, using facial recognition and big data, has created an atmosphere where citizens feel they are constantly being watched, leading to self-censorship and a climate of fear. This level of social control is, for many, the very definition of a dictatorial regime. The situation in regions like Xinjiang and Hong Kong is often cited as the most damning evidence. In Xinjiang, credible reports from human rights organizations and international bodies detail the mass detention of Uyghurs and other Muslim minorities in re-education camps. The government frames these as vocational training centers aimed at countering extremism, but critics describe them as concentration camps designed to erase cultural and religious identity through forced assimilation. The intensive surveillance, restrictions on religious practices, and reports of forced labor paint a grim picture of systemic repression. In Hong Kong, the one country, two systems framework, which was supposed to guarantee the city a high degree of autonomy, has been effectively dismantled. The imposition of the national security law in 2020 has silenced pro-democracy voices, led to the arrests of activists and politicians, and has fundamentally altered the city's legal and political landscape. For those who value democracy and individual liberties, these actions are not those of a strong leader building a nation, but of a dictator crushing dissent and consolidating absolute control. So, how do we reconcile these two vastly different portraits? It's possible that both contain elements of truth. From one perspective, Xi Jinping's actions are a logical, if ruthless, strategy to maintain stability, ensure the Communist Party's primacy, and propel China to superpower status. To his supporters, a strong central authority is essential to manage a country of 1.4 billion people and to achieve ambitious national goals. In this view, individual liberties are a secondary concern, or even a luxury that must be sacrificed for the greater good of collective progress and national strength. They might argue that the Western concept of liberal democracy is not universally applicable and is unsuited to China's unique cultural and historical context. From another perspective, however, the methods used to achieve these goals are fundamentally unjust and unsustainable. This view holds that true national strength comes not from suppressing dissent, but from empowering citizens. A system that relies on fear, censorship, and the cult of personality is inherently fragile. It stifles the creativity and critical thinking necessary for long-term innovation and progress. And, most importantly, it comes at an unacceptable human cost, violating the basic rights and dignity of millions of people. For those who hold this view, no amount of economic growth or infrastructure development can justify the creation of a surveillance state and the persecution of minority groups. Ultimately, whether you see Xi Jinping as a strong leader or a dictator may depend on what you value most: collective stability and national power, or individual freedom and human rights. It's not a simple binary. He is a complex figure presiding over a complex country at a pivotal moment in its history. His leadership has undeniably been transformative, steering China in a new, more assertive direction. But the nature of that transformation, whether it is a model for a new kind of modern state or a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked power, is the question that will define his legacy and shape the 21st century. Thank you so much for watching. This is a topic with many layers, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Let's keep the discussion respectful and constructive. If you found this video insightful, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more deep dives into the issues that shape our world. We'll see you in the next one.